All right, we are back in the saddle. Man, it feels like it's been so long. It always feels like it's been long whenever I take a break, you know. You leave for 2 weeks, it feels like 2 months. So let me tweak our itinerary here. Let's see. I really should do this before stream. What are we gonna do first? What are we gonna do first? Um, let's do movie reviews first because they're like got some stuff to say. And then watch Bullet Time. And what are we gonna do after that? We're going to do a Final Fantasy MTG gear list. Well, I'll check out the new One Piece chapter. So full plate today. I'll try to get through it in a timely fashion because I've got a lot of other projects sitting right next to me, just out of frame that I need to take care of. Stuff that I just haven't been able to get around to. It's been a uh, very trying time. Which I mean, I'm sure you're all used to hearing me say that, right? Just things never quite going the way that you expect, where you think you got time off and then you don't. Uh, you think you know what you're doing, and then someone else comes up with something different. So yeah, I was really hoping to be further along in some of my projects by the time that I came back, and that just didn't pan out. So I don't have Fridays off anymore. That's one thing. And then the other thing was just Saturday. I was so cooked. We're suffering a major heat wave right now, and that is really tapping into my energy. You know, I'm sure that you're probably sick of me hearing excuses for why this channel isn't really going anywhere anytime soon. But I mean, it is what it is. You know, uh, I try to do my best. Uh, Thankfully, um, things should be getting back to normal soon. Better than normal. I mean, I say that every week, and I mean it, but this time I think it's for real. I'm gonna be going through a little, like, not gonna get too deep in on it, but just a little change in employment that should give me more free time to work on the channel. And I intend to make as much of it as I can, you know, because you know, I don't really go too much into all the behind the scenes stuff, but uh, you know, it's been rough this last year. We tried to hit the ground running, and we just couldn't do it. There was just like one thing after another, and so um, finally things are going to be returning to normalcy within the next week. And with all the hardships going on, really unexpected things in my personal life, uh, I'd like to think that I've learned to make more of the time that I've got and try and be more serious about myself, about the channel. Speaking of taking myself more seriously, hey, check it out! I'm all dripped out this time. It's been a while since I got dressed real nice for a stream. We've been schlubbing it for a while. But I got my contacts in, I got my hair did, got my crest of sincerity to match my gorilla shirt and my nice my nice Trip NYC pants with the alien green. I would wear my alien ball cap, but I mean, I don't want to squish. I don't want to squish the hair. So yeah, we're green today. Even got my Mountain Dew. Yeah, so things have been rough, but uh, I think they're gonna start getting better soon. I really hope they do. Yeah, they say hope's irrational, but a lot of times it's all you got. So yeah, movies. So last stream, right? I think so. Hold on, let me fact check myself right here. Da, da, da. Yeah, that was the last stream. Wow, that feels like forever ago. When we checked out K-pop Demon Hunters, and I've been absorbing it. I've been pondering it, and so I thought I'd just do like a little review of it. Not really scripted at all. Uh, I mean, I thought it was pretty hype. It was one of the better movies that I've seen in a while. And the hype train's been rolling around. Everybody else on YouTube is checking it out. Lots and lots and lots of support for this movie, and it deserves it. But you know, I prefer to be honest, and I don't think the movie's perfect. A lot of people think that it's just the best, that it's untouchable, that it's this and that. But uh, I gotta call it like I see it. Uh, so you know what? Let's just start with the positives, right? Let's break the ice here. It's got style just abounding, right? And hold on a sec, my AI tracking turned itself on again. I don't know why. Is it a hand gesture thing? If I like wave like this, oh my gosh, I think there actually is gesture technology in the camera. So if I wave, hmm, I would very much like to find a way to turn that off. So let me fix the camera again, right? Because I like having absolute pinpoint control of how everything is framed in my stream. Uh, Now what was I saying? Oh, yeah, the movie K-pop Demon Hunters. The movie abounds in style, right? Um, I mean, there's really solid framing and storyboarding and animation. The character design is impeccable. Uh, Lots of really exciting action. It's got a it's got a good soundtrack. It's just not for me. Like I said while I was watching it, I'm not really a big K-pop guy. I showed up for the animation, and that was pretty much it. So, I acknowledge that the music is good, but it's not my thing. It's too catchy, I think is the problem. I found myself humming the tunes a lot to myself over the past couple of weeks, like in a bad way, where I just couldn't get it out of my head. It was getting on my nerves. Uh, so it's got the style, and the characters are a lot of fun. I said it while I was watching it. I like how the characters can they're mostly female, and they can be beautiful and glamorous and strong and capable, and they can also be goofy and silly and funny. That's really good. It feels like a lot of times in animation, uh, female characters aren't allowed to be funny unless they're like, dorky or frumpy. You know what I mean? It was nice to get something a little different this time. Pretty much all of the characters were interesting, had charisma, had magnetism, had everything that they needed to really grab you and pull you into their stories. And they all had their own little arcs. I said during the stream that I wish the side characters, excuse me while I like refresh my memory on what their names were, because like don't get it wrong, it's not that I didn't love the characters. I just am terrible with names in general. I really struggle to remember any of it. So Mira and Zoe, right? I remember while I was watching the movie, I was complaining about how, even though I like that the movie has a very clear main character in Rumi, how the other members of Huntrix, Mira and Zoe, I didn't feel like they got enough going on with them in terms of their characterization and their progression and stuff. And I didn't exactly rewatch the movie, just kind of like went back and went over the highlights. And I don't know what I was talking about because they've got plenty going on, even though they're still not the main characters. Uh, they're pretty interesting. I can follow where they came from and where they're going, and I thought it was all really awesome. Uh, and I really like, hold on a sec. I really like the use of color in this movie because it's a lot more subtle than it seems at first. And it even lies to you uh, in like good ways. Uh, Let me see if I can explain it. And this might take a while, so bear with me. So it's obvious right away that like the the azure blue that they've got going on, that's good. That's humanity, that's purity and justice and all that good stuff. And pink is like the evil, that's the demonic side. That's shame and selfishness and all that kind of thing. That's the very obvious side of it, but the closer I look to the movie, the more I notice that it likes to play around with the different like tones and hues and stuff with those really front-facing colors. And I'm trying to think what would be the best first example, right? Um, So you got the blue and you got the pink. But in the middle, you've got like kind of a lavendery, purpley stuff going on. And it's not really clear right away um, what that is about. You see it in Huntrix's weapons. So this is the lie that I was talking about, right? You're kind of trained to think that lavender equals good, right? And And later you see it again when when Rumi and Genu, they have like their little duets and it's all like sparkly around them, and the blue and the pink, they kind of mingle and become like lighter and brighter to make sort of that lavender color. So you think that it's good. But by the end of the movie, you see the true meaning of that color. It's not good. It's not harmony. It's deceit. It's deceit. It's dishonesty. Is this a word? Disingenuity. uh, just the idea that that somebody's hating something, and that secret is forming a sort of barrier. It's a corruption, right? And you see that when you get to the end of the movie and the weapons for all the Huntress members, they change. Uh, they change when they start out as more of that lavendery color, but then once their cause and their hearts become pure, they become this very bright, vibrant blue. That's super cool looking. It's also around that time in the story when you start to see the hue of pink that's being used change. At first, it's more of like a magenta, and then uh, when when what were they called? The Saba Boys. When they put on their big like surprise live performance and they summon Gima. I'm sorry if I don't pronounce that well because it's spelled one way in the subtitles, but then you listen to how they say it in the movie and it doesn't quite add up the way you expect. It's spelled like GWI, but the pronunciation is more like it's like a fusion or like an ambiguity between G and K, so it's Gima. Anyway, they summon Gima, and the pink changes to a more intense sort of hot pink. Um, and I'll have more to say on the color pink a little bit later, but I also want to talk about the gold, right? Because gold gold is like the MacGuffin, the thing that we're after. It's the golden hone moon. You know, they introduce the idea that these demon hunters they unite the people's hearts and songs, and it casts this like protective spell over the world called the hone moon. It's a force field that that you know it walls the demons out and makes the demons pay for it. But um, so they got that. And the idea is that they have to like renew it and reinforce it and make it stronger. They have to maintain it. But uh, if they're ever able to unite the people's hearts in harmony, uh, perfectly and utterly, they create what's called the golden hone moon. It's like this perfect barrier that lasts forever and will keep the demons out for all of never-ending eternity. And that's obviously very hype. Uh, but it's a fallacy. See, gold in this movie represents uh, the unattainable, the unrealistic idea. You're always approaching it, but you never quite get it. Because the entire idea behind it is inherently flawed. It's based around the idea that the K-pop demon hunters and all the demon hunters that have come before them in pursuit of this golden moon, the only way that they can unite the people is to hide and suppress their true selves, all their flaws, their insecurities, all that kind of thing, and that's just not the way that it works. It's like Unalesca says in Final Fantasy X, can mankind ever attain such purity? They they always almost get the golden human, but not quite. And there's just one other color in the movie, green. And I had a really hard time pinpointing um, what that color was supposed to mean because it's just not really shoved in your face the way that the blue and the pink and the gold are. But you see it in the bathhouse. You see it backstage at the Idol Awards, and even during the Idol Awards, you kind of see it start to. Hold on a sec. I have to keep hitting Alt T because They I emote a lot with my hands, so it's picking up on that, and the gesture recognition is kicking in, and it's making the auto tracking go. I have absolutely got to turn that off because that is the worst thing ever. I don't know why they would ever make it like that. Like, I'm honestly trying to think what the use could possibly be for like AI tracking like that. Like, I don't know. I would just always rather have control over the framing for my shots and not have the camera try to do it. Because it's like the rule of thirds, you know? You don't actually want to be dead center of the camera. You want to be a little bit offset. It's just like, even now, like, it's not exactly rule of thirds, but like, I don't know. Whatever. I'm getting distracted. So you see the gold a little bit during the Idol Awards, kind of foreshadowing the impending reveal of Rumi's patterns. Green represents vulnerability. It represents exposure. Um, the side that comes to light, whether you want it to or not. That's what it is. And by the way, I don't know if you can pick up on it because my new mic, it's better at kind of filtering out noise in the background. But there's actually a bit of a storm raging right now. Hopefully, we don't lose power because I heard that it's supposed to get really bad today. Bad for the next few days. So if stream ever like suddenly cuts out, then you know why. Yeah, like I don't know if you can hear that, but it's really booming right now. So you've got all these colors, the blue and the pink and the green and the yellow, and you think you know what they all mean, but by the end of the movie, um, they start to take on different meanings when they're used together. It's not just the colors individually, it's the way that they all combine. Because there's a contrast between the way it looks kind of like near the end of the first act, beginning of the second act, where the Saja boys, I think I saw them call them the Saba boys before. The Saja boys, they're like wearing down the home moon, and so these big pink patches open up, representing the vulnerabilities in the barrier where demons can get through. And it's really great. You know, visual communication, right? The blue with the big pink blotches all over it. Uh, and that's very different from what you get at the end of the movie, where uh, the home moon is destroyed so that they can build a new one. And the new one, if you look at it, it's rainbow colored. It's got like everything going on. It's got pink, but it's also got blue and gold and green. Um, and the way I see it, the rainbow represents synthesis, harmony. It represents all these things blending together to create something greater than the sum of its parts. It is a perfect home moon made from imperfect parts. A perfect whole made from imperfect parts. And I thought that was really cool. It's not the same as before where it's blue with big pink blotches. Now it's this nice gradient where everything blends into everything else. You've got the blue representing the purity and the humanity, and then there's the pink, but the pink has almost been redeemed, where after after sorry, my one of my lights is malfunctioning. It's distracting me. Um, After Rumi goes through her arc, right, and she finds her pride, and she starts to own her patterns and her heritage and all that. Um, she redeems her patterns and the color pink along with it, so that it works together with blue instead of fighting against it. Uh, there's the green representing the again the acceptance of that vulnerability. It's like in addition to synthesis, the rainbow represents acceptance. And then there's the little bits of gold, which, how do I put this? It comes to represent achievement. Like everything that they did for the sake of the golden home moon, like all the sacrifices and all the hard work, it wasn't necessarily in vain because they had to do all that to get as far as they did. And so the bits of gold that you see in the rainbow home moon, um, they kind of, it's almost like a badge representing that that effort and that achievement. But again, it's part of a greater whole. Instead of the whole thing being gold, it's just some parts that are gold. And that winds up being actually better than the whole thing being gold because it actually works. Like you can achieve it, you can attain it. So it's just really cool, really clever use of color. Um, but now we get to the parts of the movie that bother me. And I just want to make it clear one more time that I really do love this movie. I would absolutely be up to watch it again. In fact, um, but just because I like the movie doesn't mean I can't point out flaws with it. And the number one flaw that springs to my mind is that as fun as the movie is, and as cool and as clever as it can be, it's not always very original. Uh, the thing that sticks out to me is Rumi's arc. It feels like I've seen it before. It is it's very Prince Ali from Aladdin or Megara from Hercules. It's any time that any character has been caught living a lie, and they really thought about telling the truth, they wanted to, and then they just didn't, and then it hits the critical mass where uh, they're exposed, they don't get to tell their story on their own terms, and so there's this moment of perceived betrayal, right? You lied to us, you kept this from us, and it always feels cheap. Really, it feels like cheap, forced, artificial drama that is formed from characters just not communicating in a realistic way, the way that people would in real life. So that always feels really fake. Now, in the movie's defense, um, it's not entirely it was not entirely Rumi's decision to keep her patterns a secret from her friends slash bandmates. It was her mentor, Celine. I think that's her name. Let me just brush up on that again. Uh, nope, that's wrong. Yeah, Celine. It's Rumi who wants to open up, and she's really starting to doubt the teachings of her mentor Celine. It's Celine who pushes her to keep it a secret, who bashes it into her head from a young age that she absolutely positively has to keep this a secret because there's no way that anyone would accept her patterns, and it would undo everything that they've been trying to do. So, in that way, it makes sense. It's not a matter of the characters just being like dumb. It's a matter of like indoctrination. It's worked this way so far. Why change it now? That kind of mentality. And I think in that aspect it works, but it does still feel like I've just seen it before, and that I'm kind of waiting for that part of the story to be over with so I can get to the more interesting bits. And the most interesting bit to me is Rumi trying to figure out whether or not she can trust Genu, while Genu himself is also trying to figure out whether or not he can trust himself. Because he's got shame and he's got secrets and he's not sure if he can do better or be better, all that kind of thing. Um, that is very interesting, but again, it's kind of flawed. Um, at some point in the movie, it starts to lose track of the stakes, which is kind of a big deal, right? The stake is like it's the main like big tent pole for all of the drama and tension and action and all that. You gotta know what's at stake. And uh, the movie seems hyper fixated on the long term ramifications of the demons uh, of the demons coming to the demon world. If the demons and the Saja boys succeed, then Gima will come to the human world and rule over humanity, and we'll all be doomed. And that's obviously very bad. Uh, but the movie is focused a little too much on that and not enough on the short-term ramifications that for every day, every hour, every minute that the Saja boys still walk the earth, more and more humans are being leached of their lives by these demon invaders. Uh, and that is just not really dealt with. You see it in the movie, but no one really. They don't really react to it the way they should. They don't treat it with the gravitas that it deserves. Gino is so hung up on his past mistakes, the way that the way that he left his family behind, and he's filled with shame on that. Not so much focused. Sorry, not so much focused on on the crimes that he is committing at the moment where he is actively spearheading the effort to steal the souls of humans. That to me is a more pressing matter than the one bad thing that you did 400 years ago. No matter how horrible it may be, yeah, you're caught up on whether or not you can make up for that mistake. You're still making mistakes that are as big, if not bigger, in the here and now. And it's not talked about. And it undermines the charisma of that character. There's a really big, like, will they, won't they angle where the relationship between Rumi and Genu is pseudo romantic, pseudo platonic. She's trying to figure out if she can be into this guy, and he's trying to figure out whether or not he is emotionally available enough to let someone be into him. But they just totally gloss over the atrocities that this character commits. It is not talked about the way that it should be, and so that brings the movie down a little bit. Not a whole lot, I get that it's not the focus of the movie, but it still feels like something that should have some importance to it, you know? So it's a great movie. I'd still rate it like an 8 out of 10. It's just those two extra points. There were little things they could have done to to try and mend that, and could have gotten that score a little higher. This could have been a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, but there are just these nagging issues with the plot that that muck it up for me. Now, the other movie that I want to talk about was the Fantastic Four. I went to a local theater. I went there with my parents, and we all saw it just last week. And they did it. They actually did it for so many, not even just years, decades. Uh, the Fantastic Four was considered to be cursed, that they could never ever ever have uh a good theatrical adaptation. You know, once upon a time, Fantastic Four and Captain America, you used to hear them in the same breath talking about these cursed superhero franchises where they're just always going to be crappy movies. And you'll probably be surprised to hear that, the infamous original Fantastic Four movie that came out in the 90s with like terrible production quality and was just absolutely laughable and goofy. That was actually the one that I liked the most. Like, not even kidding. Uh, that was the one where it felt like there was the most going on, and I liked where the characters were going. You couldn't necessarily always see where it was going to go next. There was like a weird B plot with like the undergrounder mole man type guy, and he goes on his own little journey with Ben Grimm, and it's very bizarre at first, but by the end of it, I actually found myself being very pleased with what they were doing. Because by my reckoning, Ben Grimm should by all means be a supervillain, right? He is the only one out of this group of four people that gets just absolutely shafted by the whole cosmic radiation deal. Everyone else gets cool powers that they can turn on and off. This is a guy who's stuck just permanently being a weird orange rock monster. Like, okay, and he has far and away the worst like superhero name, the Thing. Like, man, took you all 5 minutes to come up with that one, huh? Mr. Fantastic. Mr. Fantastic's not good either. But you've got Invisible Woman and okay, Invisible Woman's okay. So all their names suck. All their names just suck. But out of all of them, the Thing's got to be the suckiest. Like Orange Rock guy, you couldn't come up with something better like the Gargoyle or Mars. He looks like he's kind of made of like Martian rocks or something. You couldn't do that. You just called him the Thing. I'm like, okay. So he gets screwed, and I always thought that should logically turn into him being a villain. But in the OG Fantastic Four, uh, they do something really clever, which is they actually give him a taste of the supervillain lifestyle, where he starts hanging out with the Mole Man, and he sees his little posse, and they get down to some nasty business. And uh, not long into it, Ben realizes that it's just not for him. That's not his lifestyle. That's not his vibe. And so he gets out of that and he goes back to the people that actually care about him. Thought that was cool. Uh, and Doctor Doom. He looks the way that he should look. He sounds the way that he should sound. Mostly, He's got a problem where he's talking through a mask, and there's not really anything done to clean up uh his recording, so there's about a 50-50 chance that you're just not going to understand what he's saying. And he turns out to be a total jobber at the end of the movie, and that's a real bummer. I'm not the Doctor Doom snob, right? That's more Jaren's thing. You know, my best friend Jaren, he is really into Doctor Doom more than I could ever be, and he's the guy who would really be able to tell you whether or not Doctor Doom is being done justice or not. I mean, it was okay. It was at least marginally better than the one that came later in like the early aughts, where it just felt like a cheesy, like tone deaf soap opera where everyone's just a bunch of like nagging, bickering, just ridiculous man children. Where it's just too caught up in all the personal drama. Not that you can't have that in movies. I mean, Watchmen was great, right? But not so much in the 2000s Fantastic Four movie. And then you get to Rise of the Silver Surfer, where Galactus is a big fart cloud, and Silver Surfer, he absolutely had the power to just make Galactus go away anytime he wanted. And the fact that he sacrificed all these planets and these billions of lives to Galactus when he could have just sacrificed himself and made the problem go away makes him seem really selfish and cowardly. And also the fact that the cosmic rays, they don't make any sense. Like, he shoots these cosmic bolts, right? But why do the cosmic bolts actually heal Doctor Doom to where he doesn't have the weird metal skin anymore? Why do they make it so that uh, the Human Torch can now switch powers with the other Fantastic Four, or even combine all their powers into himself? Why do these cosmic bolts seem to make their victims stronger and more powerful than they were before? Obviously, the answer is they didn't want to do the prosthetics for Doctor Doom anymore, and they wanted like a big, exciting set piece. And granted, it was also part of Johnny Storm's own little arc about being more responsible and mature and stuff, but yeah, can't pretend that you know the more shallow, action-oriented side of things were also a factor in that decision making. And the like the teens Fantastic Four, frequently known as Fant Four Stick. Can I even say anything about that movie that hasn't been said already? What a massive amount of wasted potential, where it starts out interesting. It starts out as this very grounded, uh, dark, mysterious sort of sci-fi horror with like body horror elements to it, or a bunch of young, drunk, selfish scientists use a teleporter to like explore the Nickelodeon dimension full of green gack or whatever, and it turns them into freaks. That's cool. And then, almost at the exact halfway point, there is a near audible record scratch where there's a 1 year time skip, and suddenly you're in a government board meeting where you're like, yeah, we've got this like team of superheroes that are basically our slaves, and they do whatever we want, and it's super cool. And just like just I can't even really put into words how the movie just nosedives. Is not a gradual decrease in quality at all. It is just immediately bad. And it's baffling, the the first act kind of ended with Mr. Fantastic escaping and swearing that he would help his friends escape from the evil military lab. And then by the time he comes back, there's not even really a need for the Fantastic Four, or Fantastic Three in this case, to be rescued. Like, they they're in a situation they can't escape, and they're all mutated, especially Ben Grimm. Uh, that really sucks. But all things considered, it's a pretty good deal. They've got room and board. They've got employment. They've got these powers, and they're they're given a cause towards which they can use those powers. They're like a scientific task force, and they've mostly gotten used to their new lifestyle. So when Mr. Fantastic finally does come back with his big plan to rescue everybody, it feels pointless. Uh, but then Doctor Doom shows up, and it is absolutely embarrassing. I always tell people this. He looks like a monkey made out of tinfoil. Like this guy spent the entire year just kind of bathing in the Nickelodeon gack and has turned him into this weird Akira style entity with inexplicable cosmic powers and stuff. And his big plan, if you can call it a plan, is to build some sort of weird outer space bug zapper that's going to like suck the Earth into the other dimension and then like systematically barbecue everyone and everything. To what end? I don't know. They didn't have time for that in the movie. They didn't really have time for anything to make sense. Like the sky is basically all powerful, and the Fantastic Four solution is to just beat him up really hard and eventually like throw him into his own little bug zapper. The weird bug zapper made out of rock. That was very bad. Uh, Very, very bad. Easily the worst. So I went into this new Fantastic Four movie um, with cautious curiosity. You know, I had my pick right. My mom and dad asked me, which would you rather watch? Would you rather watch the new Superman or the new Fantastic Four? And honestly, really don't like, as much as I love superhero movies, I don't actually care about Superman that much. I was more curious about whether or not the Fantastic Four could break the curse just because they, as like that property as a film franchise, is so infamous. I thought to myself, if it's going to be bad, I want to at least see how bad it can get. Because, Marvel Studios, the MCU, they haven't been in a good way in a long time. Granted, I did not see Thunderbolts. I heard good things about it. Even heard good things about it from Jared. Uh, and I'm definitely more inclined to lean towards his opinion. He's a man with great taste. So I don't know. And, No Way Home was good too. That was kind of wild though, wasn't it? When did No Way Home come out? Spider-Man no, 2021. Man, you did. I don't like to think of that as a long time ago, but it kind of is, isn't it? 2021. Hmm. That kind of hurts. Um, so I don't know. It's just been really spotty performance from the MCU. But what do you know? You take a negative and a negative, and it comes out to be a positive. The characters feel well rounded. They don't feel like just bickering, obnoxious, predictable self stereotypes. They actually feel like long standing friends. I like how, because they are friends, that really changes how Ben Grimm reacts to being turned into a weird, dumb orange rock monster. He's not pointing fingers the way he usually is. He's like actually sympathetic towards Mr. Fantastic, who is beating himself up over what has happened to Ben Grimm. And that's really nice. And Johnny Storm, he's not just a young jackass. He's actually a scientist in his own right, and he does some pretty cool stuff in the movie. Um, I also really like the style. Um, Now, this is something that my dad had been saying for years and years and years. I remember him saying this for a long time. The he always told me that the number one way to make an interesting Fantastic Four movie is to make it more of a period piece. Set it in the time frame in which the Fantastic Four was conceived. And so that's what they did. So we've got this really cool retro futuristic aesthetic where you look at Times Square and it's filled with these giant CRT monitors, absolutely enormous, and there's like really cool uh sort of, I don't know what to call it. Sort of Adam Punk style, like weird nuclear aesthetics going on. That's just, I like it. Real old school sci-fi stuff. The pacing is relentless. It's not often that I see a movie this brief and efficient that respects your time, where it always feels like it's moving forward. It has a great kinesis to it. So much momentum. I absolutely love that. It's very exciting. Uh, Galactus was awesome. He is just the very straightforward, brutal cosmic threat that I think he should be. Uh, they were faithful to his design without making it goofy. He was very serious, very, very serious villain. He was intimidating. He had appropriately astronomical scale. The way that he would always like loom enormously in the background. All the shots used to make him feel gigantic were just really effective. And I also like the Silver Surfer. People were complaining about the gender swapped Silver Surfer. They thought it was like a woke initiative, right? It was, uh, and it struck me as a knee jerk reaction. It was people being burned by uh, previous similar looking endeavors, like the whole Ghostbusters thing, where they they were all women, and that was just like it was just a gimmick, like a publicity stunt or whatever. So it was a bit of like a once bitten, twice shy situation. Um, but no, I like the design of the female Silver Surfer, and it actually has a tangible impact on the story. Because guess what? And this is kind of going into spoilers, but now that Silver Surfer is a woman, all of a sudden Johnny Storm, he's into the ladies and he's trying to get into her non-existent pants. Um, so suddenly he's got this emotional attachment to what's going on with these supervillains. And it's a pretty big deal. Um, I don't know, it was just a really good all-rounder. And I like the soundtrack. Can't say that a lot about MCU movies. A lot of the soundtracks tend to be pretty forgettable, but this one, it it really sweeps you up in the excitement. If I had to give it a grade, it would probably be another 8 out of 10. For the first time in a while, I felt like I was watching peak, like phase 1 MCU. This could have come out right next to uh, Iron Man and Iron Man 2 and, Avengers 1. And it would have fit in perfectly. So very glad to finally experience a Fantastic Four movie that is genuinely good. No catches or caveats. No, like, oh, they did this one thing kind of cool and I kind of appreciate that. Like, no, it's just a good movie, full stop. 8 out of 10. Good stuff. So that's all I wanted to say about those movies. Next thing I want to check out. Now, we talked about this a couple streams ago, I think, when we were just checking out different like little cool animation things. It's this. Uh, this. And okay, maybe that's a little too hard to see, right? Maybe I can crank that up a little bit before I roll it. Going filters, the opacity is way down. I think it was down so low just because I was so scared of because we were watching a Netflix thing, right? And Netflix is like, well, it's Netflix. So I tweaked the opacity way down, and I tweaked the hue as well to make it a lot harder to see on purpose. And just as always, Cross H Productions is never, ever intended to be a substitute for going out and watching the original thing, right? If you want to support something, please just go and support it. Don't just watch it here. This is not about uh, being a substitute. It's not about taking away from something. It's the opposite. We're here to promote and support and uh, and curate and critique and discuss all that kind of thing. And I realize I'm saying that a lot in this stream, all that kind of thing. I don't know. I watched a lot of Big Trouble in Little China as a kid, so I've kind of picked up on that phrase. And that's still really hard to see, so let me tweak this. It should be kind of hard to see, but not that hard. Let me tweak this down. Okay, maybe tweak it back up. A little bit more than that. Okay. It's Bullet Time by Eddie Alcazar, and I couldn't help but peek at the comments. So someone down here, yeah, this person says that the lead animator actually worked on Ren and Stimpy. And just based on the little trailer that we've already seen, you will absolutely see that come across. I've been looking forward to this. Uh, I wasn't really sure when this was going to come out. So the fact that it came out just recently, that was a pleasant surprise. And just from this little, like, title card right here, I'm already really looking forward to what's going on. It's all lo-fi. I like the color palette. Very, very 90s. Like, again, really channeling Ren and Stimpy and Rocko's Modern Life, but also just in the color palettes. It's sort of very in your face neon rainbow stuff going on with like crazy gradients and shapes and stuff. Uh, the odd use of triangles. Um, Very 90s. It's hard to really put into words what the 90s aesthetic is, but like this is it for any zoomers who are maybe not privy to what the 90s looked like. Just imagine an entire world like this. All right, so this is 9 minutes, 13 seconds. Again, it's Eddie Alcazar. Let's go ahead and fire it up. Oh my gosh, absolutely love the filters on this. Love the font. Even the font is very Ren and Stimpy. This person has not lost their touch. They have not lost their connection to that very specific time in animation history. I got no idea what to expect from this, by the way. Okay, so maybe that's not true. I know that it's about a bull terrier named Bullet, which is awesome. Like something about that just clicks with me. Um, and he's into video games, and he like I think one of his friends is a dude in a spacesuit, and then like a weird dog VTuber woman who just wears bubbles for clothes. That's all I could take away from the trailer, and that's all I can really expect. Odd. Back pocket candy bar. That is quite the euphemism. Oh my gosh, what strange fluid is coming out of Bullet right now? Oh man. Oh, this is so good. This was a time where it was common to see very richly detailed backgrounds, like elaborately painted static shots. But no, no, no. Hold on. Roll it back. That this game is called Battle Blast Organ Toner Edition. Dude, that goes hard. And he's already got the poster in the back. He's also got a poster for Dance Dance Tequila. And it's got you can make out the profile of Pee Wee Herman in the back. Oh my gosh! All right, everybody, pick your characters. Oh, I want to pick Brainchild. If this was a real game, I would absolutely be a Brainchild main. Dude, these effects, like, I'm digging this claymation. Was it called Clay Fighter? So yeah, he's got his weird little like VTuber friend that hangs out in the game. Love that stock music. Oh, that's brutal. Yeah, brace yourself for some old fashioned gross out humor. It is a lost art. I mean, I wasn't necessarily into it too much as a kid, but it's part of the vibe. Great. Awesome. Awesome advice, honey. You're getting hit too much. That really is the same as just get good. That's the 90s version of get good. You're getting hit too much. Todd, what are you up to? What? Did Todd just go into the video game? Oh, the stock music. Streetos? Okay, Streetos. I could go for some Streetos. That name actually kind of slaps. Is this a story about a guy who just cheats at video games? He's got this guy who can go into the video game and change it, and then he's got a VTuber coaching him the whole time. Bullet feels like a character who could easily like have cross promotion with Pizza Hut or Taco Bell or something. Or you would get Bullet Time toys with your like Burger King kids meal. The way he loves junk food. It's like Killer Instinct with the different health meters. Damn, Bullet, you suck at video games. Where are the win markers for the different rounds? Oh, bro. Do not eat stuff that comes out of video games, man. That hits harder than any Zaw ever will. Wait, how many rounds is this? Is this best of five? What the hell? Oh my gosh, that is brutal. That is the most like Rocco's Modern Life facial expression ever. Yo, the animation goes hard. Look at all the different effects going on. That's wild. It's just straight up called fizzy juice, by the way. I don't know if we appreciated that enough. Oh my gosh, it's like Power Stone. Oh no. Bullet. Bullet, my man, you can't be listening to ASMR while you're playing ranked matches. Oh my gosh. That's like me when I'm playing Devil May Cry 5 Hell in Hell mode. Wait, how did he win? Didn't he lose 2 rounds? Oh my gosh. This character is too much. Is Bullet tripping? That is not what I thought Bullet was going to say. What's the name of the like weird space alien guy again? I kind of identify as him watching Jaren crush fighting games. Bro, that is your bathroom situation? Oh, that's a sick logo. Man, that's the first episode. That went by way too fast. I could have gone for like another like 10 or 20 minutes of that. So sick. Wait, did we get the names of those characters again? Because I still don't remember the name of the space alien guy. There's Cat, game host Don Diego. David Firth is the one. And love it. Oh my gosh, Bullet's a real dog. Or was a real dog. Rest in peace. Oh, there's the one. I hope I see you soon too, Bullet. That was freaking awesome. I mean, it did all take place in one location, but I mean, that ain't so bad. What is Bullet's living location, by the way? Can we appreciate that? He's on the beach. There's like, there's no exterior wall. His gaming setup has to be rife with moisture and salt and seagull filth. Oh man. Yeah, that was really awesome though. Now, what was next? Yeah, the Final Fantasy MTG tier list. So I whipped this up real quick, like real quick. This was one of the last things that I was doing before I started stream, right? So hold on a second. We got some. Oh, hold on. I try to always keep my bookmarks hidden because I always might have some like secret projects lined up there. So this is what we got, right? Now this isn't the full list of Final Fantasy cards, obviously. This is just like a sample platter based on, you know, games that I played and cards that I just wanted to talk about. Because I'm not gonna have a lot to say about like cards based on Final Fantasy 11 or 13 or 14 or 16. Uh So I just cooked up like a quick tier list. What we're going to be looking at is one, how good the cards are, but more than that, just if they pass the vibe check, if the if the flavor is spot on, if I feel like they actually do the reference justice. If they've got the good art, if they've got the good flavor text, if they work mechanically according to what they're supposed to be. And I kind of want to, just real quick, if I can go into display capture and block out these stupid, obnoxious ads. Yes, block out the ads, please. All of them. More. More. Maybe too much. There. And then the top as well. And then the bottom so that people don't have to look at that stupid crap. Okay, maybe that's a little much. And then the left as well. There. I think that's much better. Unfortunately, I'm kind of stuck. It's hard for me to blow this up because I'm really worried about the stream crashing. I'm gonna try and do it. Hopefully nothing bad happens. Hopefully. Bam. All right, there we go. Stream didn't crash. We're good. Because OBS, it's been really finicky. I get regular updates, but there are problems that just don't get fixed. So I guess the best way to do it is to just jump into it. It'll help if I can pull this up. If I can get this going, this will sort of guide us. On our little adventure. Okay, that really does suck. I don't like the way that goes. Okay, I think that works. First one I want to talk about is obviously Bahamut. I think he's absolutely hype. I love that it's my favorite version of Bahamut. I love that he's big and beefy. Uh, kind of weird that he's colorless, but that's uh, I figure that's one of the two ways that you could do it. Either make him colorless or make him all colors. All his abilities are awesome. He's just a big, beefy powerhouse. And I think I got to put him right at the top tier. Um, Steiner. Uh, this is a problem that you're going to see a lot in this set is that uh, a lot of times the flavor is compromised for the purpose of some sort of archetype. I don't really know why Steiner is an equipment boy. Like, there's nothing about Steiner or Final Fantasy IX in general where equipment is is emphasized. So I'm actually gonna follow this under. He is a good card. I like him. I think he's cool. I'm gonna put him under mid. And then Eris Gainsborough, spelled incorrectly. She's actually a win. I like that she's all about life gain. That's her thing, and then she's got a death trigger because that's what she does. So I'm gonna file that up here again. Uh, Also a big fan of rescue mission. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and file these down lower, just because. Well, they keep misspelling her name, and then B, well, we'll get to B later, right? So I like this. I like how you can take the elevator, or take the 59 flights of stairs, tap up to 3 target creatures, put a stun counter on one of them. I assume the one is Barret, because Barret does not like climbing stairs. So I'll put that there. Next is Ash. I did put some Final Fantasy 12 cards in here, even though I don't really like that game. I do like I like how this is kind of reflective of her choosing whether or not to blow up the Suncrest or make new Magicite. Magicite was like the reusable magical, like, grenade-sized nuclear bombs in Final Fantasy 12, so that's neat. But I mean, it is Final Fantasy 12, so it's like, whatever. Auron's inspiration, obviously. I love Auron. He's like the best character in any Final Fantasy game. I like how this has flashback representing, how Auron has lived two lives. It's got his iconic quotes. That's got to be under Epic Win. I like Battle Menu. That was quite clever, and it's quite a good modal spell. I like how it's got a lot of different stuff you can do. Cloud. Like, what did they do to my boy? He just feels so. He feels generic. Like, again, he is inexplicably been made an equipment boy. I don't know why. Like, equipment is like, yes, Final Fantasy VII has an equipment, but there's not an equipment emphasis in FF7. Uh, that would be more like FF10, where you can switch on the fly, or FF2 where you can dual wield. FF5 has that too. It's just, I don't know. Equipment doesn't seem all that important in FF7. It does have the equipment slots, but like, or the materia slots, I should say. This is also flavor fail because, spoiler alert, Cloud isn't actually a soldier. He's not. He's not. Not only is he famously known as an ex-soldier, but he was never a soldier in the first place. That's like one of the big plot twists. So putting soldier in his type line is a major flavor fail. I'm actually going to rate him really low. I do like the crystals chosen, though. That's a neat, clever little thing. And it does seem, I don't know. That's really expensive for that effect. I don't know about that. I think I'm gonna rate that. It's definitely not epic win. I'll just put it under win. Dragoon's Lance. This is a catch-all for most of the equipment in this set. All the equipment that has job select specifically. Because it's a little weird. It's definitely not how I would do jobs. I kind of envision them more as auras. But equipment works too, I guess. I mean, functionally, I think equipment is a subtype that has less baggage than auras. So it's a little easier to balance. I generally like them. I would even say that I've warmed up to it over time. I think I was more against the job select equipment at the beginning. But it is a fun way to do it. It's fun to play with. Dwarven Castle Guard. Now, this is really weird, right? I'm used to dwarves being equipment boys. But here we have a dwarf that does not synergize with equipment at all. Instead, it's got a doomed traveler effect. I do. I like the art. The art is cute. But functionally, it's just whatever. I'm going to put that under fail. From father to son, I like that a lot. I like the way it works. I like everything having to do with the regalia, honestly. I can't even really explain why. There's just... I feel like it was the one angle in FF15 that actually had some emotional weight behind it. And I think it's executed well mechanically here, so I'm going to put that under win. Galacat. I like this. I like seeing the more oddball enemies getting representation in this set. Not a lot of them, though. It would have been nice if we could have gotten a Hell House card. But now we at least have this very obscure creature from Final Fantasy V, where it's like that one episode of Tom and Jerry where Tom unfurls like a girdle or whatever, and he has wings, and he tries to fly to catch Jerry Mouse. Uh, I don't feel comfortable about MTG forcing me to kill cats, though. That's not nice. Cats don't belong in combat. They belong in your lap or on the couch. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this right here. Magitech armor. This is bizarre. I don't understand this. Uh, I guess mechanically it would be nice to have um, a vehicle that just kind of craps out its own pilot. That's neat, but what is colorless hero creature token? Magitech armor is most often not used by heroes. Like Magitech armor, that's a villain thing. It's used by the evil empire. A hero token. Why would it make a hero token? Shouldn't it make like a soldier token? I mean, I know that you really want to push this new like recurring token subtype, but this is not the way to do it. I'm gonna call that a fail. I'm even kind of tempted to call it an epic fail. But I mean, I guess it does work. If nothing else, it works. Moogle's Valor's cute. I'd actually much rather play this over Crystal's Chosen. You get to crank out all these little dudes with lifelink, and then your creatures gain indestructible until end of turn. Like, just like, yeah, if we can go back for a second. No, I would much rather play that than this. I think I'm actually going to switch this. I'm going to move this down and then move Moogle's Valor up because this was a great scene. I like this little like tower defense little vignette that they had at the beginning of the game. Paladin's Arms. You know, the only reason I included this on the list was just because I wanted to talk about how weird it is that the Paladin looks like Undyne from Undertale with the like maroon hair and the blue skin and the armor and all that. I like that. I mean, as far as equipment goes, it's whatever. I'll just put that under mid. Phoenix Down is sick though. Man, I'm actually reading this now. That effect is pretty impressive. 3 to return target creature card with mana 4 or less from your yard to the field tapped. That's a pretty good deal. And then the bit where it kills undead, which is a Final Fantasy thing. That's really good. That's going an epic win. Restoration Magic. This is a stand-in for all of the tiered magic spells. There's like fire magic, ice, thunder, all that kind of thing, and they're all pretty cool. I like the way that this concept is executed, so I'm gonna file that under win as well. Chuckomog is just whatever. It's pretty mid. Knights of the Round is freaking sick. It's crazy expensive, but hey, at least it has indestructible. At least you get the full value right away, and then it keeps giving you value like over and over again. If it was just 8 for 3/2/2s and 1/3/3 that's indestructible, that'd be pretty solid. But then it gives you those 3/2/2s again and again and again. And if by some miracle your opponent has A, survived, and B, allowed this saga to resolve to completion, they get absolutely cooked by this last move, where your creatures are just indestructible for good. So I'm going to go ahead and put that under Epic Win. I think that's a really great way to do that. The only thing that I don't like about this card, if we could just go back to Bahamut for a second, you'll see that the way these saga creatures are done, there's not actually a lot of room for the artwork. So they make the box transparent. So you can get a little bit more of the art going on. But then you look at at who was it? At Chocomog and Knights of the Round, and they're really squeezed in there. They make up a very small part of the card, which I don't like. There's Ultima, which is a very strange sort of board wipe. It gets artifacts and creatures, but it also ends the turn. This is a double-edged sword, because your death triggers don't go off, but neither do your opponents. And I guess if you're playing white, it's less likely that you're running death triggers. What I don't like about this though is that, like, what am I looking at? This is a version of Ultima that I've never seen before. I would much rather see Ultima from like 6 or 7 or even 2, where it actually plays a bit of a part in the story. So I'm gonna put that. Uh, I'm just gonna put that under fail, because like, I don't know. I felt like they missed an opportunity to like make a more iconic version of this card. Weapons vendor, I do very much like playing equipment. I've got a real spicy equipment deck that's all like Swords of X and Y themed. It's got 10 of them. I didn't get the last one. I didn't get what was it called? Like Wealth and Power or whatever. Sword of Wealth and Power. I will get it. This is kind of clunky though. 4 for 2/2 that lets you pay 1 to attach 1 equipment to 1 creature. I don't know. That's kind of lame. I'm gonna put that under fail. Even though the flavor's on, it's just so weak. I love You're Not Alone though. I love how you can see all the different, like, first off, the You're Not Alone scene is so iconic. It's one of the best scenes in FF9, where the themes of that game come to a head. It's also the name of the track that plays during the scene, and that track is awesome. I got it on my phone. You see all the different creatures that you fight during the You're Not Alone scene. We got some nice flavor text. It's just really good. It's really functional too. It's cool that it has the potential to be better than Giant Growth. I'm definitely gonna put this under Epic Win. That's just awesome. And Zach Fair, I think the way he's designed is very clever. Where he's actually kind of a weakling, but he's a very inspirational figure. That effect is super cool. The What was that called? The call card. What was that card called in Neon Dynasty? Where it was like Selfless Samurai. So you can sack him to give someone else indestructible, but then you also get his counters and his equipment. One of them, anyway. I'm kind of tempted to put this under Epic Win. That's really good. Combat tutorial has fun art. I like how it's based on a very, very specific moment in Final Fantasy X, where you are going through the combat tutorial, and Titus tries to cream a water flan with his water sword, and it doesn't go well. Love Lulu's expression there. Functionally, it's just kind of whatever, but I mean, I still really like it. So I'm going to put that under win. Dreams of Lacuna, not a lot of Final Fantasy VIII cards in this, by the way, because I really hate that game. But I mean, this is clever enough. I'm gonna put it under mid. Edgar, King of Figaro, looks great. Looks the way that he should. Uh, I like his mechanic. Very reminiscent of his role in that game, so I think I'm gonna put that under Epic Win as well. Eject is pretty clever, you know. Uh, Obviously, I have an affinity for this just based on the fact that Final Fantasy VII was the first game I ever played, and running into the Midgard's element, and he just, for a lot of people, that was the first time you experience the eject status, where all of a sudden you're just permanently down a party member. It's very traumatizing. So I think It is very expensive though. You do get like a card drop bolted onto it, but I don't know. It's too clunky. I'm gonna put it under mid. Ether. This is a flavor fail because I do like how it gives you some blue mana, but then it has this weird like copy effects, which doesn't have anything to do with ethers. It even like describes what ethers are supposed to do down here, and I feel like that's completely missed, or not completely, but mostly missed in terms of mechanics. Uh, it's also very expensive. I just don't like this card. I'm gonna call it a fail. I do like Gogo though. He's very much in line with what I would have expected out of him. I would have made him green, but he has a powerful effect. I'm gonna call him a win. Ice Flan is not a win though. That's gonna be a fail. Cause like, why? What is that stat line? Why is the Ice Flan so huge? Flans are tiny, pathetic creatures. They're usually not very threatening at all. Why is this one a 5/4? Everything about everything else about it is fine, but I don't get the stat line. I don't get the immense cost. He's going under fail. Matoya, even though I like the way that she works, I think I'm going to call her a fail because why does she look like such a bitter, hateful old woman in the artwork? I'm used to how she is in Final Fantasy 1 where she's just like a cute, sweet little old lady. Like, she's not menacing. She's your friend. And the Prima Vista. This just showed up in Nizuhone's uh, top 10 worst vehicles list. And it's sad to see such an iconic airship get done so dirty. Because the Prima Vista is awesome, but this card is not awesome. It's so clunky. It's so mid. It's so mid that it's less than mid. It's just a fail. Realm sketching, I'm also going to call that a fail. Even though, like, this is pretty cool, paying 4 for a copy of any of these things. That's not really what Realm does. She doesn't make copies. She not permanent ones. She makes like temporary copies. Retrieve the Esper. That's a fail. It's a fail because like it creates robot warriors. Earlier in the list, we established that Magitech armor is a vehicle, and then you load a hero into the vehicle, and then the vehicle goes. They're not robots, so that's very bizarre. That's not consistent. So yeah, not a fan of that one. Scorpion Sentinel seems pretty cool. It's about what I'd expect mechanically from an FF7 card. I'd almost be willing to like bump that down to +2/+0 though, just so that the power and toughness add up to 7. I'm gonna call that a win though. Sleep Magic. I think it's fun that this is like a lockdown card that goes away when the creature's dealt damage because that's how that works in Final Fantasy. I'm gonna call that a win as well. So, like, just looking at it now, I don't know. It's kind of give and take. If we just take inventory of this list, it's kind of like half and half whether or not they nail the flavor of a card and whether or not they totally botch it. Like Stolen Uniform totally works. And I've actually played this card. It's fun. So that's a win. Leviathan. Leviathan makes me sad. Because it is very clearly the crappy version from Final Fantasy 15. You know, that massively disappointing scene where you saw in the trailers and it looked absolutely epic. And then you see it in the game and it just looks like a giant glitch. It's like really, really bad water physics. For a set piece that's based entirely around water, that's pretty embarrassing. So I think, and as far as like saga creatures go, I guess it's okay. But like, yeah, that's gonna be an epic fail. I like that Shiva is the best version of Shiva from Final Fantasy X. I remember that one of my childhood friends had a huge crush on her for some reason. I mean, she's not much of a character. I don't know what this quote is though. She doesn't say that in Final Fantasy X. I'm pretty sure she doesn't. Um, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna file this under mid. Swallowed by the Leviathan is kind of a weird um application. I would think this would be like an Oblivion Ring effect, so I'm gonna say that's a fail. Thief's Knife. I don't even know why this is still here, but I mean, it's okay. I'm just gonna file it under mid. Valkyrie aerial unit. I don't know why it's called that. I'm used to this just being called the Heli Gunner, but it certainly looks powerful. I think I'm just gonna call it mid though. Now the water crystal is a stand-in for all the different crystals. These seem to be based on the crystals from Final Fantasy III specifically, and I don't know. Um, I think if they wanted to get the flavor right, they should have buffed uh, creatures of matching colors. Because what they actually do in the game is they like give you your jobs, and the jobs make you stronger and stuff. If they buffed heroes, that would be nice, but they don't do that. There's no, as far as I can tell, there's no actual synergy to the crystals. They don't work together. They just kind of all do the same thing. They all give you a discount for matching spells, and they all buff like a specific function. And then if you have the mana, they have like a big expensive activated ability. I picked the water crystal because this definitely seems like the best one. It's certainly my favorite. I'm a mill guy, so as fun as this is to play, the flavor is just such a fail that it balances out to being mid. Arden. Even though I have issues with Final Fantasy 15, it is nice seeing Arden being represented very accurately in terms of mechanics, where he buffs demons and also makes people demons. That's really good. That's going to be a win. Cecil. Not a lot of transforming cards in this list. I just had to mention Cecil because he's absolutely insane the way that he is a 2/3 with a keyword for 1. Obviously, he has, downside. We're playing black. Obviously, we're going to find a way to turn that into upside because that's what we do. And then he turns into like this awesome guy that makes attacking creatures indestructible. That's Even though I don't personally care, you know what? I'm gonna call him mid just because I don't really like transforming cards. I don't like double face cards in general. I do like this though. This is a very horrifying scene of Final Fantasy IX, by the way, where these mages like corner some poor innocent creature. This is moments before that creature gets wasted. So this is okay. It's cool to see like a darker moment represented in these cards. Demon Wall, cool idea. The Demon Wall fight in Final Fantasy VII. This isn't that Demon Wall, I don't think. But like, oh man, that fight was so brutal. When you're stuck in the temple and there's not a lot you can do to like grind or whatever. Super tough boss fight if you're not ready for it. Mechanically, I'm not impressed. The way they have to wait for it to have a counter on it, and you gotta just kind of figure that out. I'm gonna file that under mid. I do like Fight On though. This is another one of those clever cards that's named after one of the tracks in the game, and it has cool functionality. I'm gonna call this a win. Heck ties. I don't know why the body's so tiny. This is the opposite of the problem that I have with the Flam. Hectai should be huge. I'm used to them absolutely brutalizing me. So I'm going to call that a fail. We got Kane. Kane, I would. Flavor wise, he works, but he is so clunky. I would really have a hard time utilizing him. For some reason, we skipped over Overkill. But I mean, this is the one where it gives a creature -0, -10,000 until end of turn. It's certainly an interesting idea. That's not really how Overkill works, though. I would have like called that Zanmato or something, since Zanmato can like even kill super bosses. I like Marlboro for the bad breath mechanic. Um, I think that's pretty reflective of how bad breath works in the game, and like in Final Fantasy. It's just too bad this is again very clearly from Final Fantasy 15, which is just so mid. But I'm still gonna call this a win. Oh, there's Overkill. Somehow they got mixed up. Phantom Train. Why is this not legendary? That's kind of a flavor fail. I'm gonna put that down here. Poison the Waters is one of the first artworks that was put out to promote the game. It's really cool looking. This is always a really weird scene in the game, though, because Kefka poisons the waters and then immediately everyone in the kingdom keels over. Like, what happened? Did they all take a drink at the same time? Or, like, did it vaporize and, like, turn into smoke and then everybody choked on it? Like, what happened there? It is cool looking, though. I'm just going to put it under mid, though. Reno Rude, I played with this card, and I think it's cool and clever. I like how it like hits on everything, like it's menace because it's technically two different people. Um, they've got a sacrifice effect, which is kind of what the Turks do. They like steal stuff that are like real black ops. So of course they are a black card. I'm gonna put this under epic win actually. Resentful Revelation is just really cool. I like the art. I like the idea. That's going to be another epic win. Sephiroth's Intervention. The thing that keeps this from being an epic win is I don't know how this gains you 2 life. Flavor-wise, that doesn't make sense to me, but it's got, like, Sephiroth's most iconic moment. One of his most iconic moments. The other one we'll see in a minute. Shinra Reinforcements. This one is weird. I'm actually going to call this a fail because whenever have Shinra soldiers used Tonfas? Shouldn't they have SMGs? That's kind of weird. Anima. I like how this card works. It is kind of weird. Like, pain is an attack. But, I mean, it looks like it'd be fun to play. But, again, the art is just so smushed in next to all this text. It's a little disappointing. I think I'm going to put this under mid. Tomberry. How? This is like a big flavor fail. Tomberry is one of the most infamous damage sponges in Final Fantasy. How did it come out with 1 toughness? It does have the thing where it's got the touch of death. But like, wow. I get that, and this part too. I get that the Tomberry is supposed to be slow, but this feels more than a little overboard. I'm going to call this an epic fail. Like, this is just an unplayable card. Imagine waiting 3 turns just to slowly whittle down your opponent for 2 damage per turn. That's terrible. Terrible 1-drop. Vincent's Limit Break is also going in epic fail because of how profoundly confusing it is. Like, you gotta read this, like, 3, 4, 5 times to actually get what the effect is because it is not formatted very well. Like, whatever you think this card is, whatever you think it does, read it again 3 or 4 more times and find out how wrong you are. It's not that it's not that the creature comes back with the chosen power and toughness. It's that it has the power and toughness, and then when it dies, it comes back the way it was before. It's so confusing. Barrett Wallace is cool. It is kind of weird. Um, Having a red creature with reach, that's pretty uncommon. I don't get the equipment synergy. I get the Barrett has a gun arm, which, don't you think this guy should kind of be an artifact creature? I thought cyborgs and other augmented life forms were like artifact creature coded. So it's weird that he's not an artifact creature. It's it's weird that he has an equipment synergy. Um, See, I really would have built this guy as a green creature with reach, and then he deals damage based on the number of lands you control to like a defending creature. I feel like that would have been more on brand. So I'm actually going to call this a fail. Blazing Bomb. Blazing Bomb is an epic fail. I think it's really clunky. Also, bombs only blow up when they reach their full size. They don't blow up early. You got the Mountain Chocobo, though. I think that's cool. That's a flavor win. Actually, you know what? I'm going to bump that down to mid because I wish that it gave birds like Mountain Walk until end of turn or something like that. Furion looking fierce in the artwork. His equipment synergy makes sense because that's the game where you can like switch equipment and dual wield and all that. And so he gives you like temporary equipment copy tokens. That's going to be a win. Freya, not a win. I don't get how she synergizes with equipment. That seems very odd. Gilgamesh, though, he is like the equipment guy. That's what he's all about. And so seeing him in MTG form, and he looks for he looks 6 cards deep into your library for equipment, and he's got like 4 or 6 different arms. That's really cool. That's going to be an epic win. Haste Magic, the thing that bothers me, well, first off, I don't like impulse effects. Never have, never will. The other thing that bothers me is I wish this was a more iconic version of Haste Magic in the artwork. I would have preferred Final Fantasy X, where time magic is actually a huge thing. Like the main character is the most famous time mage ever. So that's going to be a fail. Hilgigas looks cool, looks the way it's supposed to. It's big and beefy. My issue is the flavor text. I'm going to put this under mid just because of the flavor text, because the whole thing about Zozo is that everybody lies to you. So why is there flavor art with a Zozo resident telling you the truth? This place is dangerous, be careful. Shouldn't he be saying something like, this place is safe, don't worry about it? I don't know. And item shopkeep. If it's the item shopkeep, why are they selling weapons? We had a weapon shopkeep earlier. And this seems odd. This seems very backwards. I would think the weapon shopkeep would be built more like this, and then the item shopkeep would be something that gives you life. This is going to be I'm going to give it an epic fail. Light of Judgment looks cool. I like that they put the triangles on Kefka because that was the aesthetic, you know. Mode 7 means put triangles on everything, floating around and spinning in 3D space. It deals 6 damage. I like that. This is going to be a win. Not an epic win because it's got like a weird equipment destruction effect. My City and Elder. I like the idea of this, where because he is like a mentor, he comes in with another smaller wizard. Nibelheim of Flame. You knew they had to immortalize this very iconic scene, right? Oh man, that looks absolutely sick. Um, I like I like how it works mechanically. I don't know about the flashback, but like this is still really sick. I'm gonna give that a win. Opera love song is cool. I don't like impulse effects, but I think it's reflective of the moment in the game where you have to memorize the lines, and so you have two different choices. Uh, because it's an impulse effect, I'm just gonna put it under mid. This is like a totally subjective list, by the way. I like Prompto. I wish because we're gonna see later, right? Ignis gets his like signature catchphrase where he says, "I've come up with a new recipe." Well, this one should have really said, "Love the lighting," because that's Prompto's uh his little catchphrase. He's pretty mid, a pretty mid creature, I'd say. But I do think it is a flavor win, so I'm gonna go ahead and besides, Prompto's just best boy, so he deserves to be up there. Queen Braun is a flavor fail. She is not a she's not a combatant. I don't know why they gave her prowess. That's like an epic fail. Can you imagine this lady squaring up to throw hands with you? We've got random encounter. I like the idea that they went with, but I just imagine this card flubbing a lot, like paying 6, paying 8, and just getting absolutely nothing out of it. Uh, I think that's going to be a fail. Same goes for the Sandworm. Why would the Sandworm, which is slow and enormous, have haste? Shouldn't it have menace to more accurately reflect its size? I do like the land destruction on it, so I'm just going to file it under mid. Cypher. Cypher is. I'm going to go ahead and call this like an epic fail. I do not think this works in terms of flavor. Because why? Why? When you made him red in a set with a heavy wizard theme, where red and black is all about wizards, why does he have no wizard synergy? Cypher's whole thing is that his dream was to swear fealty uh to like a beautiful queen, and so he goes to serve the sorceress. He should have some sort of wizard synergy. I don't know. On the flip side, though, I do like sorceress's schemes. The way that she exiles with, she synergizes with stuff in your graveyard or even exile. Because her whole idea was just, it was using time compression to remake the world. So that's going to be a win. Rama, also cool. I think it was clever to make him part of the aforementioned wizard synergy. I think the way he's designed is really cool, so I'm going to make that a win. Cerberus, too. Cerberus is an epic win. That's pretty much exactly how I would expect this card to work. Love the way that it lets you copy twice. Suplex, absolutely iconic moments. Love the art. Love the effect. That's going to be another epic win. Triple Triad. This has a weird thing where it lets you play, like, it lets you exile and play the top card of each library. I would have liked it if it cost a little bit less, but the effect was symmetrical where everybody could play the exiled cards. It would probably be unplayable, but then that would make it more like triple triad, wasn't it? Like triple triad's annoying. So I'm going to call that a fail. Unexpected request. This is a cool uh, act of treason effect where it plays on this very iconic moment where Princess Garnet asks to be kidnapped. So that's an epic win. Van, I really don't like Van. I only included him in this list so that I could put him under fail because his effect is okay, but like screw Van. He's a terrible character. I hate that guy. Then we got Adamantus. This is one of the like big like attention grabbing creatures that they put out to get people interested in the set, and yeah, he's it's pretty interesting. I like him. I'm gonna go ahead and file this under win. I think I actually have this card. I'm gonna have to play with it at some point. Bard's Bow I put in here because why? Why is it called Bard's Bow? In my experience, bards don't use bows. They use like harps and lutes and stuff. Shouldn't this be like Ranger's bow? Because Rangers are the job that are famous for using bows. That's stupid. That's an epic fail. Barts and Bogo is part of the weird bird archetype that they came up with. I would have preferred it if it was like if it had something to do with lands. And I get that the land archetype in general has landfall elements, but the fact that Barts and Bogo don't have that at all is bizarre to me. So that's going to be a fail. Like the whole thing is that he's a nomad and he roams the land. I don't know. Cactar. Now hold on a second. What is going on here? Okay, so they'll give haste to the big fat sandworm, but not the freaking cactar, the creature that's famous for being nimble and agile. That was dumb. That's an epic fail right there. Chocobo Racetrack, I'll put under epic win just because it's got Chocobo Joe in it. And that guy is awesome. Like, I hate him, but he's also awesome. Same goes for Commune with Beavers. First off, that art is just freaking adorable. And it really does warm my heart to just see this immortalized in MTG form with the iconic flavor text, Guy Speak Beaver. Man, that's really... These do not look like beavers, by the way. These look like giant hamsters. Diamond Weapon is cool. I like the part where it's discounted for permanent cards in your graveyard because that's kind of the thing with the weapons is that they are created by the planet to defend the planet in times of crisis. So it responds to things being destroyed by being easier to play. The one tweak that I would personally make is only make it to where it prevents all combat damage that would be dealt to it as long as it's untapped. Because if you've played Final Fantasy VII, it's immune to a lot of damage at first, and then when it goes into attack mode, it is no longer immune. So that's the one thing I would have tweaked about this, so I'm going to file this under win. Galoof's final act, this is an epic scene. I like how mechanically it's like he is inspiring the next generation and sort of like giving his power, because this is the scene where, like, spoilers for Final Fantasy V, Galoof dies and then Krieg gets all his job crystals and stuff, and she inherits his will and stuff. So that's going to be an epic win. Gigantode, I'm going to call that a fail. Because, like Scorpion Sentinel, it's a thing where as long as you have 7 or more lands, it gets bigger. I just question why they chose Gigantode and not a more iconic Final Fantasy VII monster. Gishel Greens, that's an epic fail because why is this not a food? That was dumb. Why is it a sorcery? And then, of course, the Jumbo Cactuar. We had to talk about this, right? Because this was one of the first leaks to get people talking about the set, just this very preposterous creature. It is very clunky. I think everybody uh, overrated it based on the novelty. But then that is kind of very much in line with Cactuar, where they're just supposed to be kind of goofy. So I'm going to call that an epic win. Same goes for Reach of the Horizon, where this represents the transition from, leaving Midgar and then going to Calm Town. So this is a card that lets you search for up to 2 basic lands and or towns with different names. That's going to be an epic win. I like that. Titan. Well, it is a very powerful card. I don't like that it's the Final Fantasy 15 version of Titan. But at the same time, I kind of recognize that this is the most iconic version of this character, featured very prominently in like all the advertising and stuff. Um, I think I'll go ahead and call that a win. Uh, Tifa Lockhart. I don't know about this. She does a lot of the things that I expect her to do, but the artwork. Okay, so let's just go ahead and talk about this right now, okay? This is the thing that really bothers me about this set. So let me go ahead and switch to this view while I go ahead and pull this up. I just want everyone to kind of take inventory of this. Because if you go back and you look at all of the Final Fantasy VII cards in this set, you start to realize that there aren't any. There are no Final Fantasy VII cards in the Final Fantasy set. Instead, there are only Final Fantasy VII remake cards. And I am very, how do I put this? I make sure to always remind people that Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VII are 2 very, very, very different games. And I know that probably sounds weird, right? Like, it's like, you're probably thinking to yourself, I don't understand. Like, if you haven't played Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VII Remake, you're probably scratching your head and being like, I don't understand. Like, it's called Final Fantasy VII Remake. Is it not just a remake of Final Fantasy VII? How are they not the same game? What do you mean by that? And I'm not necessarily going to launch into it right now, but just know that ever since the leaks first came out about um, Final Fantasy VII Remake, I have been vehemently against that game. I hate everything that it is. I hate everything that it stands for. Uh, I hate that it's false advertising. I hate that it lied to everyone about what it is. Because it's not a remake. It's a sequel. It is like this weird pseudo meta time travel story. Uh, that is predicated on the idea that everything in Final Fantasy VII already happened. Now we are going back in time and changing what happened. And I don't agree with that at all. I feel lied to. I feel cheated. I don't like anything about the story at all. I feel like it's dumb and self defeating. I feel like everything that they did to make Final Fantasy VII Remake different was for the worse. Like, just everything about it, especially from a story perspective. Like, you can say whatever about the gameplay. Like, I'm not necessarily griping that they changed it to be, like, real-time action. But in terms of story, it's just horrible. And you can see from the design of these characters, these are the remake versions of these characters. Like, this isn't the Heli Gunner, this is the Valkyrie aerial unit. This is the version of Barrett Wallace from the remake, not from the real Final Fantasy VII. This is the fake Barrett with the sunglasses. This is the fake Chocomog. This is the fake Tifa. The fake everything. These are not Final Fantasy VII cards. They're not. There's very little Final Fantasy VII in this Final Fantasy set. Sometimes you get Final Fantasy cards or Final Fantasy VII cards, but only the ones where like they haven't been ruined yet by the remake. And so I find myself really, really like not liking these like fake Final Fantasy VII cards. So that that's just something that's been bothering me lately. And I feel like it's not talked about enough. I feel like it's something that's glossed over, or something that people like just live in denial about. People will say things like, "It's the same story," or "It's basically the same story." I absolutely hate that argument. By the way, the idea that they're basically the same story, as if small changes to a story can't have large scale ramifications. No, absolutely not. I I look at Final Fantasy VII Remake, I look at those leaks, and I look at those cutscenes, and I have a wildly different takeaway in terms of who these characters are compared to the real Final Fantasy VII. And I don't like the redesigns. I think like this fake Tifa Lockhart way worse and less iconic than the real Tifa Lockhart. I don't know. It just really bothers me. Um, and it holds me back from being able to fully enjoy this crossover, knowing that my favorite Final Fantasy game has been eclipsed by this new fake like lie of a remake. Uh, you'll even see it if I can just show this to you. You even see it in uh, in the Final Fantasy wiki. If I go to Final Fantasy wiki right now and I look up anything Final Fantasy related, if I look up Cloud Strife, okay, let's go ahead and see what the wiki has to say about uh, Cloud Strife. Oh, it actually, no, it doesn't have a lot to say about Cloud Strife. Instead, it has plenty to say about the fake Cloud Strife from the fake Final Fantasy VII game. This is the first image that greets you right at the top. You see the fake Cloud, and then, hey, if you really want to, you can go down here. You can see the portraits for the real Cloud. So that's upsetting. And then you scroll down, and you try to read up more about Final Fantasy VII, but oh, what's this? It's a screenshot of the fake Final Fantasy VII, and another screenshot of the fake Final Fantasy VII. Fake, fake. Actually, I think this is from. I think that is from Crisis Core. And Crisis. There we go. There's the real Final Fantasy VII. That's the real Final Fantasy VII. But then you scroll down and like, I don't know, I don't like it. And then you go to the remake continent. Yeah, just the fact that if it feels like revisionist history, it feels like Square's trying to take away my favorite Final Fantasy game and replace it with something else. Public discourse has been tainted. The way that it's represented in pop culture has been corrupted. This great classic game has become mingled with this pollutant, this fake Final Fantasy game that says that it's a remake, but it's actually a sequel. There are huge, wild changes to the plot, to the characters. It's not the same game at all, but people pretend like it is. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's because they are just so addicted to Final Fantasy that it has overwritten their objective critical mind. Or maybe they just want to live in denial. They don't want to accept that they didn't really get the Final Fantasy VII remake that they were promised. So that's one of the reasons why I want to do this tier list, was to kind of use it as a springboard to talk about another issue that I had with the crossover. So with that in mind, I'm gonna put Tifa under mid. I'm going to do the same thing with her limit break, because, again, it's just fake Tifa, not the real one. Balthier and Fran is cool. I wish Fran had her own card, though, because you can see that Balthier is partially covering up Fran's, amazing, immaculate beauty. And can I just say that whoever came up with the design for the Viera in Final Fantasy XII was an absolute genius. Like, it's an Amazon race of like a 7 foot tall Playboy bunnies that wear lingerie. Like, get out. That's like the best fantasy race ever. So that's gonna be an epic win for sure. Black Walt's pretty like generic card, but I had to give a shout out to the epic artwork. I always really like the design of this character. I love Choco. The Chocobo Hot and Cold game from Final Fantasy IX was hype, one of the best mini games ever. I like Cloud of Darkness. I don't like that it's black and green. This should have really just been mono black. But I like the way the particle beam works, where it's an epic enters effect. Because that really do be how Cloud of Darkness works, where she just smokes you on sight. That's a win. And then a lot of cards like this. A lot of cards like Garnet, or let's see, we got Rydia. Rydia's in there as well. And we got, where is she? She's like squeezed in there. Where's Yuna? I know I had Yuna on this list, but I don't see her. But I just really like the synergy going on where like all the different summoners in Final Fantasy are represented as cards with affinity um for these saga creatures. I think that's a really clever idea. Geode is cool. This is more what I expected from a dwarf creature, where he synergizes with equipment, and he himself has double strike, and he's like really cheap and tiny, so it incentivizes you to put equipment on him. Gladio, only reason I put him on this list was to put him in the epic fail category. He is worst boy. I absolutely hate him. I hate his character. I wish he did not exist. And I don't really care how good he is as a card. I mean, he's okay, I guess. He's about what you'd expect for a 6 mana creature that comes in 2 different colors. But Gladio is like the worst character in all of Final Fantasy. He is like the anti-Auron. I absolutely hate him. Golbez is cool. I like how he has 2 different effects for if you have 4 or more artifacts versus if you have 8 or more artifacts. Reflecting, how there are 4 crystals in the world, but then there are an extra 4 crystals in the underworld. I like that. That's gonna be an epic win. Ignis, he works with food, and he's got his signature catchphrase. He's not best boy, uh, but he's up there. He's second best boy. Genova, I'm actually gonna put under fail because I really think she should have some sort of control effect. Like she has a thing where she can like turn other creatures into mutants, but only your own creatures. Oh, sorry, it says on up to one other target creature. Um, okay, you can put it on any creature, but she only synergizes with mutants you control. And I think that's kind of weird. She should really have some sort of control effect. Lock Cole is very disappointing. I'm actually going to put him under epic fail because he's just such a generic blue-black legendary creature. Like, of course he's a rogue. Of course he has Death Touch and Lifelink. And of course he has a sabotage effect where you loot. He doesn't interact with treasure in any way. He doesn't bring creatures back to life. He doesn't do anything that is actually flavorful. Like, he is a good creature. You know what? I'll go ahead and bump him up to fail. Just because he is a good creature, I enjoyed playing with him. But in terms of flavor, he is absolutely not there. Noctis is, though. I actually like the way that he works. He's exactly the colors I would expect. I'll put him in epic win. Omega has art that hurts my eyes. It hurts my eyes, and also I've never seen this version of Omega. Why isn't it the more iconic Omega from Final Fantasy V? And just mechanically, I feel like he's very limited. Nothing about the flavor of Omega comes across. Why is he Simic coded? This is an epic fail. Because this is a very iconic super boss, and you don't get what he's all about from this card. Rufus Shinra is very whatever. I'm actually going to put him under fail because, again, you can very plainly see that it's the fake remake version of Rufus. I do like Sin, though. He's got the epic art and the epic stat line, and he flies. and he like he has a thing where like nothing dies, where everything is like is reincarnated because there is no freedom from death in a world with sin. So very thematically appropriate. That's a win. Squall is dumb. I have a problem with the fact that he has the exact same first ability as Cypher. Uh, I guess because they both have. I guess it's because they both have gun blades. But then why is it called Rough Divide when Squall uses it? But there is no ability word when Cypher has it. Shouldn't it be called like Bloodfest or something? And then he has just like a very generic, like Orzhov effect. Like, why is this what Squall is? Why is he white black? Why is he Orzhov coded? I feel like the design of Squall was incredibly lazy. The fact that he's more of just more of what you already get from a different card that's more interesting. Yeah, so that's bad. I'm gonna say that's an epic fail. Like, I'm not a fan of Final Fantasy VIII, but golly, they did Squall so dirty. I'm having trouble. I'm having trouble seeing what I want to see because I'm so blocked in by ads on Tier Maker. I can't see my own list. Very, very annoying. It's making it hard to do this. Tella, I like that he has a thing where he sacrifices himself. I wish he had a thing where he casts spells at random because that's what he does. So I'll put him under mid. Rydia was supposed to be under win. Titus is weird. The fact that he has an artifact synergy seems to come out of nowhere. I think it's because Blitz Balls are an artifact, but why is this not an equipment? Why does it make 1 mana of any color? I do like the second effect, but like I don't get it. And why is it only legendary creatures? Shouldn't it be any creature? I don't know. This feels like an epic fail. Titus, though, I do like his tap effect that he does. Because he's a time mage. So he has like delay attack and delay buster, so that makes sense. I'm just gonna put him under mid though. Vivi. Vivi really shook things up. This is the card that everybody was really talking about. Like, once everybody got over the initial shock factor of Jumbo Cactar, people started paying more attention to Vivi and realizing, wow, this is actually a really powerful card. And that makes me happy. I'm proud of my boy Vivi. Gonna put him under win. Zidane, I don't know why he's red-white. I feel like from a color perspective, he's a fail. But then I also really like his effect, and it makes me want to play him in a Zedru the Great-Hearted deck. So I think I'm just going to put him under mid. Buster Sword, big, big fail, epic fail. Because why is this not a legendary equipment? That doesn't make any sense. That does not make any sense at all. The effect that it has, like the sabotage effect, is very generic. It does represent like the iconic start screen, but is very clearly like the fake Buster Sword from the fake Final Fantasy game. Elixir is very disappointing. It's very slow and clunky. I don't like how it comes in tapped. I don't like how the effect is so expensive. That's a fail. Excalibur 2, it's also disappointing because the whole thing about Excalibur 2, right, is they have to speed run to get it. You have to get to the final area in, I think, under 11 hours. in order to get this weapon, and that's not reflected in the way that it functions at all. So I'm going to call this a fail. Genji Glove. The effect, I feel like the effect only kind of matches how Genji Glove works. If the idea is it's an equipment that can potentially allow a creature to deal damage 4 times in one turn, I think this should have been the Master Scroll, because that's the one that gives you the ability to attack 4 times in a row. It is still cool, though. I'm just going to put it under mid. An instant ramen. How deep does this go, right? Like, this is a product placement within a set that is itself product placement. You'll notice the branding is gone, though. It's not called Cup Noodles. I feel like I had to put this in this list just to put it in epic fail, because the Cup Noodles side quest was so cringe. Like, how are you going to have like a royal cook on your team, but then there's this one tool, Gladio, who would rather eat instant ramen? Here's another epic fail. This is the Lionheart. This is supposed to be the ultimate weapon in Final Fantasy VIII, one of the strongest weapons ever in the entire series. And it under-delivers on such an epic scale. It's also not legendary again. Does not make any sense. Lunatic Pandora is also an epic fail. I don't know if you can tell from the artwork, but the Lunatic Pandora is absolutely titanic in scale. It is enormous. It is bigger than mountains. So why does it only cost 1 mana to cast? And the whole point of the Lunatic Pandora is it's supposed to summon creatures from the moon. Why does it have no, like, interaction with creatures? But then we have Magic Pot. Magic Pot is cool. I like how it can give you treasure, and it also like steals stuff. That's what it's all about. I'll put that under win. Win. Monk's Fist is disastrous. Perhaps the single dumbest card in the set. How can your hand be an equipment? It's not like a cyborg hand. It's just a regular hand. And it's absolutely horrible, unplayable garbage. This should have been called like Monk's Claw or something and been significantly buffed. As it is worthless. I do like the Regalia, though. Big fan of that. That's a win. This might sound bizarre, and granted it is, but the Regalia is one of my favorite characters in Final Fantasy 15. Like, I'm pretty sure I already said it before. The whole, plot thread involving the Regalia what actually wound up being one of the more emotionally effective parts of Final Fantasy 15, more than anything going on with the actual flesh and blood characters. Zadamo 92 is here. I like how it has an activated ability that costs 8, and I like that it gets to come back from the grave. So that's gonna be a win. Even though I think it's kind of a clunky creature. Ring of the Lucii is fail, because why is this not an equipment? Why does it not have 3 different abilities? Like, I could easily see a version of this where it's got an activated ability that gives equipped creature Death Touch, an activated ability that gives equipped creature Hexproof, and then like maybe you tap the creature and put a stun counter on it to exile like a creature with mana value, whatever. I don't know. It just, like, this is cool. I like the artwork, but functionally, it's just not there. Maybe they were scared of printing another really awesome ring after the one ring, and so they kind of dialed it back for this one. And at least it's legendary like it's supposed to be. World map is cool. I like how it works. I like how it's very clearly the world map for Final Fantasy One, even though they spelled Onrak incorrectly. So that's going to be a win. But then we get to dumb stuff. Like, a lot of these lands don't make sense to me. And not only in terms of what colors they give you, like why would Baron be blue and red, but also why are they not legendary? Like, so many of these are epic fails to me. Why is Baron not legendary? Why is it blue and red? Why is Guado Salam, like, why is that not black if it's supposed to be the land of the dead? And why is it not legendary? Why is Gongaga not legendary? Why is Insomnia not legendary? I think the colors are right for Insomnia, but again, why is it not legendary? I don't get it. Trano, I think the colors are right, but why isn't it legendary? Vector, again, the colors are right, but it's not legendary. Like, so many times, why is the gold saucer not legendary? I do like that it lets you play games and like it lets you uh like spend artifacts to get stuff. I like that. Just the part where it's not legendary is dumb. Ghidorah is not legendary, and also the adventure that you get from it doesn't make sense to me. It just seems like a random effect to tack on. Lindblum, not legendary, even though it should be. Midgard, not legendary. Starting Town has the effect that I would have expected on Excalibur 2, where uh, there's a penalty if you don't cast it on your first, second, or third turns. This one I actually like. I'm gonna give that a win. Xanarkins, I don't really get it. I don't like the adventure, and I don't like that it's not legendary. Sid is awesome though. Obviously, I picked the version of Sid that is my favorite, and he's actually looking the way that he's supposed to. And this is not like a fake Sid from the fake Final Fantasy VII. It's the real one, and also just the way that they made like 15 different versions of Sid with different artwork is really cool. That's going to be an epic win. And we've got another version of Cloud where I don't know why. I don't get his colors. I don't get why he's equipment centric. I don't get anything about him. I don't feel like Cloud was done right at all on this entire set. Sephiroth is okay, I guess. I'll follow him under win. The way that when he enters, creatures your opponents control get -2/-2 until end of turn. I kind of equate that to the scene near the end of the game where he shows up and immediately everyone just like falls to their knees. Beatrix is powerful, but I don't get like again what is with the equipment slant to her functionality. Seymour Flux works though. I think his artwork is epic, and I like how the way that he works is kind of like the way that the Mortiorcus siphons life in order to power itself up. For anyone who doesn't know, like the big thing Seymour is riding in is a life form of its own. You can kind of see like its face right here, and then there's Seymour down here. Judgment Bolt is dumb. This is supposed to be Rama's signature move, and then there's just this like random jackass using it instead. And then the ultimate weapon, which is a massive flavor fail. Why does it not interact with your life total at all? And the whole point of ultimate weapon is that it gets stronger the more life you have. So why is that not reflected here? Instead, you see that mechanic in like a different equipment that no one's ever heard of. So that was dumb. So that's your like random tier list of like random cards that I picked from this set. So why do we do this and what do we learn from it? Well, I just wanted to evaluate like how well is Final Fantasy represented in this MTG set. Like, how do the cards work flavor wise? Do they communicate the idea of Final Fantasy to non-Final Fantasy fans? And the question is, the answer to that is, it's kind of a mixed bag. Like, I'm looking at this, and it seems like for every win, there's a fail. There are a lot of times when they absolutely nail the flavor of like an iconic character or setting or moment from Final Fantasy, but then there are just as many moments where they like totally screw it up. And again, I just really don't like how Final Fantasy VII Remake has taken over uh taken over the public image of that sub franchise, that sub series, where it's getting genuinely hard to find actual Final Fantasy VII stuff because it's all being overwritten by the Final Fantasy VII Remake stuff. So, yeah, this is pretty much a summary of how I feel about this set, where there are some cards that really knock it out of the park in terms of flavor, and some that totally flub it. I am still happy that the set happened. It's sad to leave it behind. I'm still editing the Father's Day video where I played a game of Final Fantasy MTG with my dad. There was going to be a second episode where we play with my fan-made Final Fantasy set, and I just don't think that's going to happen. Because editing that one video is such a chore, keeping track of all the different stuff that's going on screen. Like, over the course of those games, we played a best of 3. Just keeping track of our life totals, keeping track of everything that's going on, and then trying to get that across in the video so that people can follow. I don't know. It's really got me second thinking more content like that. I might have to do some studying to figure out, kind of look at the way that other YouTubers do it to try and make it more interesting. And we will not be covering Edge of Eternities, by the way. Like, I want to take one last look at the Final Fantasy MTG set, because now everybody's kind of moved on to Edge of Eternities. That set has officially come out as of August 1st. And not too interested in it. We're not going to be talking about that. I just want to talk about this set because I had a personal interest in it, because it was two things that I love crossing over. I think the next time we're going to talk about Magic the Gathering is going to be when the well, I'm going to try and put out my own fan-made Avatar The Last Airbender set ahead of Wizard schedule, and we'll just talk about that more as that set gets ready to come out. But for now, that's kind of going to close this chapter on MTG history. And now I think all I want to do is check out the latest chapter of One Piece and then end stream there. Because, again, I've still got lots of other stuff that I need to do today. So let's fire this up. Yeah, here we got very strange, very, very strange color spread of I think okay, so here's the theme. What I'm getting is that it's the first, second, and third in command of the Straw Hat Pirates and the Roger Pirates kind of like paired up. So there's Rayleigh and Zoro, there's Luffy and Roger, and then there's Sanji. Sanji kind of rocking like a weird admiral coated outfit where he's got the jacket over the shoulders and then he's got the sunglasses. He's got like weird. It's like it's some sort of palette swap of Ryokugyu. And then, of course, there's Scoper Gabon right next to him. And then, in very, very teensy weensy Ice Reno vision, we've got the other Straw Hat Pirates squeezed in there. And then we've got Nami being Nami. Oh man, I'm torn. I can't figure out which is hotter because Nami's great, but then you see Robin and Robin's outfit is just like wow. That is a lot of thigh meat you're showing off, even though you're teeny tiny. So this is oh wait, did we have? Never mind. I just thought we had like a quote from Oda. Instead, we've just got some very sus looking ads that I don't want to see on stream. So 1156 idols. Back in this time, we're under attack by pirates. Why aren't you men fighting back? You're useless. A group of idols roam the seas. They stole everything we have, and the menfolk were no help at all. They're too tough. You didn't even try to fight. How are we going to make a living now? Even the Navy had trouble dealing with them. They were known as the Kuja Pirates, a band of warriors from the exotic country of women. Oh my golly. These pirates were strong and beautiful and shunned the presence of men. I am sick and tired of looking like this all the time. If only I could strip away this beauty of mine. Empress of Amazon Lily, Captain of the Kuja Pirates, Gloriosa, future Grandma Nyon. She's absolutely devious. I love her. I feel my brain being bathed in light. Man, that's one way to put it. Asking for permission to have a heart attack. Lady Gloriosa, look at all your fan letters. Tritoma, what is that enormous pile back there? Those are all for Lady Shaki. There's 100 times more over there. Tritoma, Amazon, Lady Empress, two generations later. Tritoma. Okay. Interesting. We got a new character. Lady Shakia. Okay. It's preposterous. I'm the captain of this crew. She's like an icy jewel of fury. Yes, the true star of the times, who outshone even Gloriosa's beauty, was her first mate, Shakuyaku. Oh boy, are we going to get to see her? Enemy ship approaching, Captain. What, isn't that... is this thing on? Roger speaking. This is Roger. It's the Roger Pirates. Don't bother resisting, Kuja Pirates. Oh my gosh, look at young Roger. What a goober. Today, once and for all, you're finally going to hand over your first mate, Shakuyaku. What? Roger was trying to poach her? Why haven't you learned your lesson already, Roger? You already have my affections to return. Oh, okay. So Gloriosa was trying to get with Roger. Seize her. Who are you expecting to seize? Huh, that's interesting. And I'm just thinking, about, the empresses that died of love sickness, and yet Gloriosa did not. So, where is this going to go? Someone once said that her every move and gesture embodied pure seduction. Oh, Gabon, when she calls my name, I lose all strength. It's been a while, Roger. What did you do to Gabon? Damn it, I love you, Shakuyaku. I love you too, Roger. In the face of such beauty, the mighty made fools of themselves. Dang, so Roger was into Shaki. Okay. And yet Shaki wound up getting with Rayleigh. There's like some really complex relationships going on here. But I will belong to no one. Pull all the treasure out of your hold. My soul is being taken to heaven. Don't you understand the honor of being loved by me, Roger? Move it, Gloriosa. I can't see Shaki. Grr. I feel bad for you, Ray. Yeah, it's a bunch of idiots over there. Oh my gosh. What a massive flirt. Lady Gloriosa, it's the Navy. It's Roger and the Kuja. Make sure to snap some pics. We can sell those. Knock it off. Hurry, pack up the goods. Don't leave a single crumb of bread. Yes, ma'am. Hey, at least leave us some food. We gotta get moving. Prepare to say. Take a look, Roger. That's Garp's ship. It's what? Disregard that order. Listen up, boys. Flatten them all. Pirate Goldie Roger, future Pirate King, and Father Vase. Navy HQ Vice Admiral Monkey D. Garp, future Naval Admiral and grandfather of Luffy. Man. Does anybody feel like Roger is drawn very differently every time we see him? Like before, Roger just looked like Roger, and then he looked more like like Luffy, and now he just I don't know. I don't know. I feel like Oda kind of wavers on what Roger's face should look like. And I know these are different times in his life, but there are such radical changes in his facial structure. Meteor Fist, Rampaging Spirit. Is that one of Roger's attack names? It just had to be Garp's ship. Roger, Garp, and Rox, men whose tales were spread as legends in the Great Age of Pirates, first clashed here in their hot-blooded youth. First? But it sounds like they already had beef. Lady Gloriosa. The Kuja, meanwhile, were tremendously popular and an indispensable part of the story of this era. Get a grip, sister. My chest feels tight. They're so gorgeous. These untouchable idols were the desire of all the salty dogs of the sea, and their bounty posters were traded for considerable sums. Hidden cameras and pursuers were an everyday problem for them. Okay, yeah, that's gross. Later, when Shakuyaku took the mantle of Empress, her popularity reached heights never before seen. And yet now she lives in peace in Sabaody, even though she hasn't changed that much. Ida's bar, Elbaf. The boat capsized and Loki was drowning. Okay, we're back to this now. To be honest, we weren't even sure if we should save him or not. That's how bad his behavior has been while you were gone. I appreciate that. Thank you for saving him. Hang in there, Loki. What do you mean you weren't sure? Save the boy. What if Loki had died out there? Listen, Ida, it was Loki's decision to go out to sea. So what? If you abandon Loki, I'll drown you 100 times. I didn't ask for help. There, you see, that's the attitude he takes. He makes me so furious. He's lost his mom, and his dad is too busy to stay home. Loki's just lonely, that's all. Shut up, you hag. Want to live with us? No way. You just want to pretend to be my mom and live in the castle, Ida. You just want all the money. Shut up, Loki. Apologize to her, Loki. You've crossed the line. You have no idea what Ida's been through. You kids are too sweet. You're being too soft on him, Ida. I hate the way Loki talks to you, Ida. It's not fair. Are you crying for me, Mato? This world's too good for me. I'm sick of this country already. Everyone's so weak and wimpy and trashy. I want to be free like Rox. From that point on, every time Rox came to invite Harold to join him, Loki begged and pleaded to join his pirate ship, but never got his way. I'm finally leaving. Aren't you relieved? To tell the truth, I hate all of you too. Oh my gosh, look at old school Hachinosu still being built, I guess. Several months after the takeover of Pirate Island by the Rocks Pirates. Hey, who are you? I want to join the Rocks Pirates. Sure, everybody wants to do that, but you'll never even meet him. The Rocks Pirates are the all-stars of evil on this sea. See that fish-shaped... No, it was supposed to be fish-shaped at first. Not like skull-shaped. Okay. Apparently that's where they hang out. You want to meet him? Go on. But the farther inland you go, the crazier the folks get. Good luck trying to get in there. I'll give you a little push. Oof. Hey, go easy on him. Huh? Now hold on a second. Who is this? That is not the character I was expecting. He's got like weird axes on his outfit. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. Mobster Kyo, future Silver Axe. That is a wild character design. So this is Silver Axe, and wow. I can't get over his character design. He is so out there with his crazy glasses and his crazy chest tattoo. Alright, so this is the guy. This is the guy, and I'm pretty sure this is the guy who would take over Hachinosu after the Rocks Pirates disbanded. It's him, Kyo the Hitman. What's Shiki's rival doing here? Okay, so like Silver Axe, Golden Lion, okay. The powerful figures drawn to Rocks brought in many other mighty types in their wake. Stay back or he'll kill you. Huh? There, how about that view? Take in the sights. I think opening these holes was the right idea, don't you agree? Oh, so Rocks did that? To sum it all, there's 2 devil fruits out there that I want. One of them is most likely found on Elbaf, and its power will only be truly unlocked if Harold eats it. Okay. That's, interesting. I don't know what this devil fruit is, or what Harold has to do with it, but I'm very interested. After that, you want to find Galala, right? I only know of them as a legend. Them. Alright, there's Captain John. There's Lin Lin. I've got my information network on the hunt, but there's no hint of a band of frozen giants anywhere. If they exist, they're corpses. There's Streusen, looking kind of chunky. Good point, they ain't coming back to life. Shut up, we're talking about dreams here. There's Barbell. I assume he's related to Sunbell. He's a catfish fish man. Crazy, like, Nika-looking hair. Plus, even if they were to somehow be brought back, they have no reason to listen to you. And that's why I need the power of Harold, King of Elbaf. Can't you just suppress them with sheer strength? Same thing for Harold, just crush him and make him obey you. What? Don't ever say that to me again. Hey, knock it off, Rocks, bastard. You too, Kaido, calm down. We just got this island. You want to smash it to pieces? This crew is bound to fall apart sooner or later. Yeah, so why don't we earn a little more before it happens? Take it easy, kid. Harold's my pal. You say that nonsense again, and I'll get rid of you first, Kaido. Listen up, folks. Oh my gosh. Wow. Like, this dude right here, he's got the right idea. He's got his eyes on the prize. Wow, Lin Lin. Elbaf is the key to taking down the Holy Land. If you don't trust me on that, get lost. It's up to whether or not you want to follow me on the fateful day of our mission. But if you've got the stones for it, then stick around with me for a bit. I'll show you the peak of the world. The Rocks Pirates. To be continued. Okay. And I'm pretty sure we're not on break next week. So we should be good to stream again. On the 10th. But that was, honestly, that wasn't a very good chapter. Um, I felt like there was a little too much going on, especially at the beginning, where there's just like a bunch of like really weird going back and forth between the Kuja pirates and the Roger pirates and Garp. Like there's really weird, complex relationships going on. And then the rest of it is the Rocks pirates just being kind of ominous and non-specific, just setting things up and not paying anything off. Just the vague idea that there are two devil fruits that Rocks wants, and somehow those devil fruits and Harold and Elbaf are, and the band of frozen giants called Galela all somehow play a part in the plan to take down the Holy Land, which is supposed to do something. I don't know what Rock's stake is in this. I don't know what his plan is. Uh, this, I feel like this chapter didn't really explain anything, didn't really do a whole lot to move the story forward. It was actually pretty disappointing. But that'll do it for One Piece, and that'll do it for this stream. As always, thanks for watching. We appreciate all your support. Ugh, man, I did not get enough rest or enough drink. But yeah, as always, thanks for all your support because, every view and every like and comment and subscription, they all help us move on to bigger and better things. If you like this stream, feel free to leave a like. A like would be appreciated. A subscription even more so, and feel free to comment telling me what do you thought about the Final Fantasy MTG sets, or the latest chapter of One Piece, or Bullet Time. Like really, just anything. Um, it's too bad though. I always say uh, every view counts, but if you've been keeping up with the drama on YouTube, they're kind of changing it to where views don't count, which is very sad. It's sad. It's sad to hear, and it's sad to say, but it does seem to be true that they're kind of changing how views work, where views don't count, but engagement does. So if you just watch, like, they're saying that doesn't promote you in the algorithm. You have to like or comment or subscribe as a result of video. Just bad idea, but that's how it is. So would very, very much appreciate likes or comments or subscriptions. Those would all help very much because we got lots of big plans for this channel, and maybe one day they will actually come to fruition. But for now, uh, that'll do it. We'll be back to stream on August 10th. Hopefully we will be able to start on time. Normally we like to start around 1. We were a little late today just because I needed more time to clean up and prepare. So we'll try to be on time next time. I don't really know what I'll do for next stream. That's something I'm going to have to brainstorm. Again, I've just got a lot of other stuff to do, but for now, just look forward to it. Just keep in mind that nothing is ever set in stone. You know, if the past year has been any indication, it's just like, if it's not one thing, it's another. So, for now, just assume that, you know, we're on for next Sunday at 1. Again, that's August 10th. You know, barring some sort of horrible catastrophe. Best way to keep up, if there is any kind of schedule change, is to just keep in touch with all my little socials here. You know, we're on Facebook and Twitter and Insta and Discord. Especially Twitter. Twitter's the social media platform that I have the easiest time managing. Unfortunately, I have kind of been out of the practice of advertising on my socials. I'm trying to get back into it. You know, I try to do a lot of things. But yeah, I think that'll do it. So y'all have a good night, and thanks for watching.